Welcome back. I'm Alan Tutt, and this is Lesson 2 of Divine Dynamics. As we learned in Lesson 1 of this course, the three key principles of manifestation are deep relaxation, vivid imagination, and expectant trust. The more you can relax, and the more vividly real you can imagine your desired outcome, and the more you truly expect to get the results you want, the quicker it will manifest for you. If you get nothing else out of this course, this alone will help you get more of what you want with less effort. And the more you practice this process, the better you get at manifesting your desires. Obviously, there is much more to learn before you can get maximum results with minimum effort. In this week's lesson, I'm going to help you eliminate one of the biggest stumbling blocks to success in prayer and manifestation. I'm often asked questions like, what types of things can we pray for? What is reasonable to expect from prayer? And are there any limits to what we can manifest? I love getting these questions because it shows that I'm working with people who think things through and they're willing to learn from someone with more experience. In my work as a personal coach, I usually find that most folks just automatically assume that some things are beyond hope, and therefore praying for those things would be a waste of time. And I'm not talking about things like materializing 100 bars of gold out of thin air or flying like a bird. I'm talking about things like finding true happiness, or starting a successful business doing the thing you love, or becoming a more outgoing, charismatic individual. When it comes to prayer and manifesting, the only limits are those you believe to exist. Now, I will admit that some beliefs are easier to change than others. I haven't yet materialized physical objects out of thin air, nor have I completely eliminated my need for sleep. But this doesn't mean these things are impossible. It just means I haven't yet developed the skills necessary to do them myself. Having said that, I have been able to do some things that many folks think are impossible, like controlling the weather, describing people I've never met using nothing more than a name, and including details like height, weight, hair color, eye color, and the time I manifested $20,000 sitting on my couch. And then there are the thousands of things I've done that aren't exactly impossible, but are beyond what many people would expect, like selling my first book before it was even written, following my intuition straight to the love of my life, and living without experiencing things like headaches, the common cold, the flu, or any other illnesses. What I'm getting at here is that there really aren't any limits to what can be manifested, other than what we are able to believe. While I could go on for hours telling you about the multitude of miracles people all over the world have manifested, that's really not necessary. 95% of what you want to manifest into your life will be things you already know to be a possibility, at least for others. The thing I need to help you understand is that whatever is possible for someone else is just as much a possibility for you as well. Things like being happy, experiencing true love, living a pain-free life, expressing your authentic self in your work, having enough money to afford the things you want, and having enough free time to enjoy life. In the grand scheme of things, these things are easy to manifest. Where most of us get hung up is that we've lived around people who had limiting beliefs. Those beliefs rubbed off on us, and then we started living within those limitations, not knowing that the chains around our neck were made of paper mache. Let me give you an example. For most of my life, I felt like an outsider, never really fit in with the popular kids at school, spent most of my time reading books and searching for the secrets behind miracles. At the time of this example, the longest relationship I ever had was for just over a year. Eventually, I learned about the power of belief and realized that one of my beliefs was that I was so different from everyone else, there were probably only a handful of women in the entire world who would be a good match for me. And finding true love may not ever really happen. So I decided to change that belief. I started imagining that I wasn't quite so different from everyone else, and that there were thousands of women right in my own city who would be a perfect partner for me. As I went about my business, I would keep my eyes open for a chance meeting where I would meet my future wife. In the evenings, I would spend somewhere between a half hour to an hour relaxing and daydreaming about being in a perfect relationship. I imagined the two of us traveling, spending hours talking and having fun, going to theater, which was something I'd never done before. And of course, I also imagined us having fantastic sex. Whenever I finished these creative daydreaming sessions, I would feel as if I'd just been out on a date, and the idea of being in a good relationship felt natural, easy to believe. At first, the whole process did feel a little artificial. I knew I was stretching my belief system, and while I fully expected the process to eventually produce results, in the early days, the idea of there being so many compatible women in my own city still felt a bit alien. But I kept at it. Within a few weeks, the new beliefs started to feel more natural, and I genuinely started to expect to find someone who would actually be a good partner for me. It wasn't long before I got a strong impression from my inner guidance to look for a church that held meditation services. I enjoyed meditating, and it had been a long time since I was in a meditation group. I pulled out the yellow pages, and this was before the internet replaced phone books, and found a Unity church that advertised meditation services on Wednesday nights. It happened to be a Wednesday, so I took that as a sign. I called them up, found out that they didn't do the meditation services any longer, but they did have a class going on that night. So I went in for the class. For the next few weeks, I started attending that church. And one Sunday, as I was getting my coat to leave, someone tapped me on the shoulder to say hi. I turned around, saw who it was, and immediately I knew she was the one I was looking for. Of course, I didn't tell her that, but we did have a nice conversation. And as they say, one thing led to another. And now we've been together for over 22 years. What was really fascinating was that most of the details I had imagined during my manifestation sessions actually happened. I imagined a shared love of music. Linda is a musician. I imagined us going to theater. She was a musician who regularly worked for several local theaters. I imagined a shared interest in metaphysical matters, and our views on the subject are very close to each other. I also imagined a particular body type, including height, weight, build. She matched that perfectly. From her perspective, the story is just as fascinating. She had been asking the universe for a new relationship with specific details, including some aspects from her previous husband, John, and a friend of hers named Alan. And here I come with the name John Allen Tutt. As quite a few folks have said, it's freaky. It also goes to show that you can ask for specific details and get them. When I work to manifest a particular type of weather for an outdoor event, I'll include details such as temperature, cloud cover, humidity, wind speed, and so on. 90% of the time, I get exactly what I had intended. And as a famous miracle worker said a long time ago, everything I've done, you can do as well. You just need to believe you can do it. Okay, time for your homework assignment. Your assignment this week is to continue practicing the core harmonic prayer process using the recording I gave you last week. The more you do this, the easier it will become and the more positive results you will get. Having said that, in these early stages, I want you to simply go through the motions without thinking about how things will manifest into your life. In other words, focus on the process, not the outcome. My goal in this course is to help you reach the highest levels of skill in manifesting. By the time we're done, you will be a true master at the art and science of manifesting. I know I've said this before. Professional musicians need years of practice before they're good enough to get recording contracts. Professional athletes play their sports for years before they get to play in the big leagues. It's going to take more than a couple of weeks before you're ready to perform miracles. At this point, I have over 35 years of personal manifestation experience and more than 17 years of experience helping thousands of people develop their ability to manifest. This Divine Dynamics course is the result of all that experience. Just follow along as it's presented to you, and you'll get positive results relatively quick. Your primary goal for this week is to simply get comfortable with the idea that life can be a happier, more enjoyable experience. This will multiply your results when we get to the later lessons. By relaxing as deeply as you can and imagining a life where everything is exactly the way you wish it could be, your inner mind will get conditioned to the idea, and your beliefs will shift in a way that makes it easier to manifest. Depending on the state your belief system was in when you started this course, you may or may not see positive results in these first few weeks. If you do, great. And if not, rest assured that the next few lessons will help you get there. So again, your homework for this second week is to practice the harmonic prayer process daily using the recording I gave you last week. Until next time, be blessed, my friend.